Hi Mayo, welcome to your November 2019 Astrology 33 reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And just to let you guys know, if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, just check out the description of the video for all the information on how to do that. As for what we have in front of us, it's a Celtic cross spread as always, and you guys got a couple extra cards there. And we also pulled a couple of oracle cards and a mudra card, so quite a bit to get to. It then started with the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the Death card. So this is the major arcana card for Scorpio. So some of you could be dealing with the Scorpio, but also we got to keep in mind the fact that there's a lot of transits going through Scorpio right now. I'm actually recording this around the middle of October, so we just had that full moon in Aries. So, I mean, there's already some activity going on in Scorpio. And obviously, as we move into November, there's going to be even more activity going through Scorpio. And for you guys, Scorpio is your house of home, family. So before anyone freaks out, I don't think this is going to be a death in the family or anything like that. It could just be something that, maybe a long-standing conflict, or maybe a conversation that you've needed to have with your family for a long time. Maybe you finally actually have that conversation this month. That's more than likely how I'm seeing it playing out for most of you. And for some of you, this can just be related to 8th house matters as well. So, can be maybe finances. Usually it's finances of another person. So it could be someone you're married to or connected to in some way. There could be some kind of a change with that. And sometimes it's also taxes, inheritances. So if this is tied into an actual physical death, it's probably one that already passed, and most likely a decent time ago, where maybe at most it would be something around the inheritance aspect of it that maybe hasn't been resolved yet, and maybe this month it'll actually be at play for you guys. In the challenger obstacle position, we have the Tower card. So, I mean, two, pretty intense looking cards on the surface, right? But to me, the way that I see this more than anything, it could just be saying that either you're causing this long overdue ending. Like I said, this could be something that needed to have been discussed or resolved a long time ago, and for whatever reason, it hasn't happened yet. And now maybe with Mercury going retrograde through the sign of Scorpio, maybe that's really what's kicking that up to actually be looked at and put to bed finally. But another way this could play out as well, I do have to warn you, for those of you who know there's something that you've really had to put behind you and you haven't done so yet, having the Tower card come up in this position could just be saying if you don't initiate it, then the universe might initiate it for you. And of course, obviously, these types of moments are a little bit harder to navigate if you actually, if it's external to your decision, meaning that, it just happens out of the blue, as opposed to where you're an active member of causing this to take place. So just something to keep in mind there. Worst case, if you're concerned about this playing out in a physical way, you can just carry some black tourmaline with you. You could just do a Google search on that. It's fairly inexpensive to get and definitely helpful. I do like to use it for protection sometimes myself. Something to keep in mind there. All right. In the foundation position, we have the 10 of Wands. So this is another thing to me that points to, something that's been going on for a long time, and, maybe you're viewing it as a burden at this point, something that you've needed to let go of for some time, but just for whatever reason you haven't been able to do so. This can also point to the transit that we have going through your 5th house right now too, as far as Jupiter is actually in Sagittarius, and this represents the last 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So it could be around that too. For some of you who are a bit older, this could even be maybe a conflict you have to have with a child, right? I mean, you know how that goes. Sometimes your children can act out, even if they're, when I say children, they could be teenagers or adults, but you know what I mean? It could be a conversation that needs to be had there. Could even be something that happened to you in childhood that you've still been carrying all these years and just haven't spoken out about it with the older family member. That's another way it could play out as well. But yeah, that's, if I look at this in the context of these two cards here, I see it as all being tied together. So, and this could even be a personal relationship as well, where, maybe maybe this centers around either you already live with the person you're with and you no longer want to live with them, or vice versa, right? Maybe you're really pressing them to move in with you. That could be another way it plays out as well. In the past position, we have the King of Cups. So this is another Scorpio card. So already this is on the table twice. So you could definitely be dealing with a Scorpio. If it's not that though, it can just be again pointing to maybe in the past you've been a little bit emotional about something, but keeping it under wraps, because the King of Cups, they're seen as having mastery over the cups, which is emotion. So, it could just be saying that maybe you have been feeling these things deeply, right? They're sitting right in the middle of the water, but you're very good at keeping it under control. So maybe, no one on the outside really knew that you were going through this emotional upheaval, but, it's definitely been something that's been heavy on your mind, especially if you look at the fact that it's looking right at the tower, or he's looking right at the tower, I should say. So, definitely something there. And then if we also look at the Death card, also moving in that position. So I do see that there is a desire to leave something from the past behind, but it looks like it does need to be communicated about. And the reason why I say that is because in the present position, we have the Ace of Swords. So what I always say with the Ace energy is it doesn't necessarily mean it's something tangibly playing out in the real world, but I always say that this cloud here represents something in the idea stage. So we see that hand coming out from the cloud with the sword, swords involving communication. This could just be saying that, this is an idea that you're like, okay, maybe I really do need to have this communication with this person. Now, do keep in mind, like I said, you are going to have Mercury retrograde in your fourth house. So especially if this is around family or someone in your home environment, just keep that in mind that it can turn combative, so if that's not what you're looking for, just try to make sure you really just weigh out your words before you put them out there. Just giving you that as a warning, especially because, and this could also be what's bringing you guys to finally speak about it, but Mars is moving through your house of communications right now, which is the sign of Libra. That's your third house of communication. So that could be what's finally giving you the impetus to say, all right, I need to have this discussion, right? So that's why I see playing out there. And the reason why I say definitely be a bit careful around those communications is in a near future position, we have the Knight of Swords. So to me, this card seems to come out often when we're looking at a Mercury retrograde period. And to me, it makes perfect sense because this is actually the court card for Gemini. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And when we see the horse and the knight, they're moving toward the past direction in the spread, right? So to me, that represents Mercury going retrograde. So this could just be pointing that out, that just another reminder, you will have Mercury retrograde. And sometimes even if you don't mean something to be said in a combative way, it might come across that way to the other person. So that's why I say just keep that in mind. If it is something that you don't want to escalate into a big conflict, just try to keep that in mind that that is at play. And also, if someone is speaking with you, just try to give yourself an extra couple of seconds to process it. Be like, all right, am I maybe misunderstanding it? So try to feel things out a little bit. And maybe that's what that Scorpio energy could be good for too, as far as the intuitive side. Now, I do have to say, it looks like you probably would be in more of the peacemaker role in the situation because in the position of your influence in the situation, we do have the Queen of Swords. So this is a card of Libra, which is, again, your house of communication. So I definitely do feel you will be an active participant in communicating, but at the same time, it looks like you're going to try to take a more balanced, fair approach to the situation. So that's definitely a positive to see, given what we were just talking about. And also, that'll also probably give you the good disposition that if someone is coming at you and you might perceive it a little bit more combatively, you might actually take the time to weigh it out and say, okay, is this really what they mean? Or, are they just, not communicating in the clearest way right now, right? So that's a good thing to see as well, as far as something not just blowing up and escalating into a huge blowout, right? Now, like, and it can be in the moment too, especially with the tower energy, but I do see that this is a good sign that at least whatever needs to be said, like, I do feel like this is something that has needed to be discussed for some time for most of you. And once it gets out there, this does probably represent at least a chance to resolve that issue. In the position of the environment, we have the Nine of Wands and the Seven of Cups. So this is actually yet another Scorpio energy and another Sagittarius energy. So you could definitely possibly be dealing with someone who has a lot of Scorpio and Sagittarius in their chart. Or, like I said, this would be fourth house and fifth house matters for you. So, like I said, it can be some of you might already have a kid, maybe having to confront them about something, right? Maybe they've been doing something you don't approve of. Or another way this could play out too, because fifth house could also be romance. So here's an example that's popping into my head right now, and hopefully this will resonate with you guys, or at least put in perspective for some of you, to give you a tangible example of how this could play out. We have in the United States, we have Thanksgiving coming up, right? So here's one way I could see it playing out. You want to go visit your family, right? Maybe you're seeing someone right now, and you tell them, oh, I want to bring such and such with me, right? The person you're with. And maybe they seem very standoffish about it, right? Or they might even flat out tell you that they don't want the person there, right? And that might really bother you, because obviously if you're thinking of bringing them with you to Thanksgiving dinner, then obviously you're a little bit serious about the person, right? So that could cause a blow up in there in that regard, right? Like, okay, well, you know what? Okay, if you don't want them there, then I'm not going to go either, right? So this is just a real generic example of how it could play out. Be one of those things where you tell your family, hey, I'm bringing the person I'm with to Thanksgiving. They might give you a really, flippant response like, no, we don't want them there, or just really passive aggressive type communication, right? Since Mars is going to be in Libra in your third house communication, and you might just tell them, well, then I'm not going, and then they might throw them for a loop, because that might not have been the response they were expecting. So you see the Nine of Wands there, right? Like, oh, okay, I didn't expect that. Or maybe you've always just been a bit of a pushover to them with your family, right? Because you can be very loyal in that regard. Or maybe you stand up to them about something and they don't expect that. And then they're thrown for a loop, like, okay, what happened there, right? And then timeline, too. This could represent the last 10 degrees of Scorpio. So this could happen in the middle of November also. When we have that full moon in Taurus. So that would be interaction between your fourth house and 10th house, so could definitely see something playing out in that regard. So hopefully that example gave you guys a little, real world context of one way that this could play out, but obviously it could play out multiple different ways. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Nine of Cups. I'm going to assume this is a hope for you. And again, this just goes to show that, for me, I feel like you guys just want peace. You know what I mean? Like, look, like I said, even if you're the ones who are confronting someone else, it might just be something you've bottled up for a long time, and you're like, look, I finally need to speak out on this. Because maybe that's the way you're, like, going back to that example we gave with the Thanksgiving dinner, right? Maybe they're always like that with you, no matter who you're dating, right? You want to bring them around, and they're always like, oh, giving you an attitude about it. And maybe this is finally the time where you put your foot down. And you're like, all right, well, then I'm not going either. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, all right, well, I have to take a stand here, right? Because we do look at the person, they have the crossed arms, that body language of saying, well, you know what? I know what I bring to the table. Take it or leave it, right? So that could be what's going on with that. And I almost forgot to mention, we have the Six of Wands at the bottom of the deck too, which represents a bit of a victory, and it's also a Leo card. It represents the middle 10 degrees of Leo. So for those of you who have your placement there, this might resonate for you a little bit more. And perhaps the best thing going for you guys regarding the whole situation we laid out here is that in the outcome position, we have the Temperance card. So this is actually a major arcana card of Sagittarius, and we have the Two of Cups. So let's look at this a few different ways. If this conflict was all around someone you're dating, right? Like I said, could be a Mercury retrograde thing, especially if you're with a Scorpio, because keep in mind that that's going through their sign. So they could be more likely to be the ones who might communicate in a way that comes across combative, because they're going through that transit, and then also having Mars in their 12th house, that's an uncomfortable placement too. So it would not surprise me at all if you're dealing with a Scorpio. Maybe they say something that just causes this big blow up between the two of you, right? But what this says to me is towards the end of the month, there's actually going to be a new moon in Sagittarius, and it's actually going to be trine Chiron. So that could bring some healing for you guys, and that's basically the other two fire signs. Sagittarius is one fire sign, and then Chiron is actually in Aries, which is the other. So very supportive aspect there, and that's right before Thanksgiving too. So for those of you wondering if Thanksgiving's gonna be ruined, that new moon's a couple days before that. So maybe this is something early in the month where you guys have a blow up, and maybe by the time of the holiday you guys do resolve it. Same thing with family. If it's a family blow up, maybe they end up calling you a few days before, apologizing, and then telling you, all right, yes, please bring the person there, right? And then maybe it actually puts you on firmer footing with the relationship too, because they're like, all right, we put this drama behind us, because another way this could play out too is this could be the person you're with, who feels caught in the middle of this whole firestorm. Like, okay, what the hell is going on here? You know what I mean? Like, okay, this family's getting this huge issue over me, and I don't even know what's going on. So, like I said, either way, it does look like, yes, there's something that's going to come out in a pretty abrupt way. So that's why I say if you can control it to, do what you can, do control it for the most part. Otherwise, it can just come out in a more abrupt way that's unhealthy. And, like I said, it looks like something that was long overdue anyway. And then it does look like things do smooth out for you guys as the month goes along. All right. So, as far as the Oracle cards, here's the first one you guys got. It's Soulmate. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 41. Okay, it says harmonious partnerships, love, friendship, companionship, a relationship fostering personal growth. The Oracle's message: you are meant to evolve and transform with the companionship of others. Certain people enter into your life in order to take you to the next level of healing, consciousness, and authenticity. It is always a reciprocal experience, although the results for each of you will vary. You know these people by the strong pull drawing you toward them, and sometimes by a strong aversion to them initially too. Soulmates can be friends for life or remain in your life for only a short time. No matter what, you will be changed in ways you can't possibly fathom now. Pay attention to these people today. They are your greatest gifts. So definitely a pretty solid message there too, and especially if you even look at the part where it says sometimes by a strong aversion to them initially too. So maybe this is someone where you do have that explosive, interaction between the two of you, but then maybe after that dust settles, maybe you guys actually end up building something more stable. Maybe that's what that Two of Cups energy points to there. As far as the relationship message, it says, consider love in the deepest sense, love so powerful that you will never be the same, regardless of how long your relationship lasts. Consider friendships and romantic bonds so compelling that they overwhelm you with gratitude or break you open so you will finally claim who you were meant to be. Even a companion animal reminds you that it is you who is being rescued and healed. Pay attention, for you are in the presence of a soulmate come to guide you home to the real you. So that was interesting there how it said come to guide you home to the real you too, because like I did say, this is a fourth house energy, so maybe that's more of a metaphorical thing, right? Where someone does bring out this conflict and it actually brings out something that you've needed to get out there, and maybe it's like a more of a soul growth lesson for some of you too. All right, the prosperity message says, strategic alliances are most important right now as you begin to attract the perfect people to support your dreams. This is a journey you will share with others. Mentors, business partners, helpers, employers, creative partners, friends, and strangers open doors for you and step through the portal to join you in a harmonic dance of collaboration, commitment, and co-creation. This is what you've been waiting for. So to be fair, I didn't get too huge of a, career vibe there, but hopefully for those of you who are looking for more insight on that, hopefully that message resonated for you there. All right, and then moving on to your next oracle card, we actually have Whale Spirit. It says, trust the great mystery, and this is from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck. There's the artwork. The number is 65. Okay, it says, Whale Spirit is an ancient creature who was here at the beginning of time and who has seen everything, felt everything, and heard everything that has ever transpired on this planet. In the hidden realms where all things must gather before manifesting into form, Whale Spirit is the keeper, singing the soul of the whole world from the deepest waters of the coldest seas. When Whale Spirit appears, it is a reminder that there is a great mystery that you must accept without intellectually trying to understand it. Some things cannot be known by the mind, only experienced through the heart, through intuition, and through the peripheral senses that part the invisible veil separating the visible world from the great manifesting consciousness into the hidden realms. Now is the time for you to immerse yourself in the great mystery of spirit and to trust that within the invisible, what you can't see now are the seeds of your intentions being tended to by angels. So hopefully that message resonates for you guys as well. And then finally, we have a mudra card. So the mudra card that I pulled for you guys this month is the Kangula mudra. And there it is right there. The keyword for it is potential, and then I'll turn the card over so you can see some additional information on it. Alright, and not everything's going to fit in the frame here, so what I'll do is if you want, you could just pause it or take a screenshot so you can read all this info. I'll move it up so you can see the rest as well. Okay, it says improves digestion and assimilation, activates hidden talents and gifts, awakens somatic intuition, gut feeling, harmonizes human biorhythms with the rhythms and cycles of the natural world. So if that sounds like something you think would be beneficial to you, I will put the name of the mudra in the description as always too, if you wanted to look into it to some more. And we'll wrap up there, guys. I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.